I'm Jude Smith. I'm doing Why Not to Abuse Drugs. Here's my audience. So first, I'll talk about how drugs, in particular marijuana, affect your brain. So we know what's happening as I talk about the statistics and all the reasons not to do drugs. Marijuana is probably, you hear about it a lot, it's probably the most common drug used in the United States from what I know. Drugs block the effects of the natural chemicals in your brain, which is why people feel euphoria and excited and whatever while you do drugs. The same thing alcohol does to your brain in some of the drugs. THC is a chemical found in the plant that is produced by marijuana, or that they use marijuana to make. THC affects the brain's reward system, such as other pleasurable things do. So, like if you like chocolate, it's the same thing. Gets going. It produces dopamine in your brain and produces a euphoria, so it's the same effect. That's why people like it, because it makes them feel good. Marijuana causes you to relax, and it slows your body down, makes you feel well relaxed, and it attaches to the receptors in your cerebellum, so it can affect your posture, your balance and coordination, and when it affects your balance and coordination, it can affect your learning and your driving over time if you do it a lot, if you do drugs a lot. I looked at a government website about drugs, and they said that annually drugs cost the nation $193 billion, and that number comes from things related to crime and lost work because you do drugs, and healthcare because some people can overdose and have to go to the hospital. Also, 24% of teens mix prescription opioids, like just drugs you can get at the doctor for a disease or whatever. They mix those with marijuana, and then 15% mix them with alcohol. So this just affects your brain even more because it's adding what the drugs do to your brain with what the marijuana and what the alcohol does to your brain too. And in 2010, they measured that 11,406 ER visits were associated with marijuana. This just shows that it can be dangerous doing drugs, and 75% of that 11,000 were adolescents under the age of 20. So that if you get in a bad accident and you have to go to the ER, that means you can cut your life short at 20 or if you're a teenager. And along with this adolescent thing, it can ruin the rest of your life if you have on your criminal record, if you get caught doing drugs. That can really affect getting into schools. They're not going to want someone that does drugs a lot because you're not going to be a good member of society. Also, getting a job, they do a lot of places do drug tests and background tests, so they can tell if you got caught doing drugs a lot or if you're doing drugs when they test you. And some do it throughout the time you're working there, so they're not going to want someone affecting their productivity if you're on drugs. And so those are some reasons that you don't want to do drugs, because it can affect the rest of your life if you're young, and it can affect your daily living life just because of all the things it can do to your brains that I mentioned before with the chemicals in the drugs. And not only marijuana, but it's said that marijuana can lead to other drugs such as cocaine and meth and all those kind of higher end drugs that can do more to your brain than what marijuana does. So these are a lot of reasons that you do not want to do drugs, because all of the people listening to this are in college, and it's going to be a lot easier to get through college if your brain is intact and you know what's going on a lot of the time. So I recommend no one to do drugs, and thank you for listening.